or something that I said was brilliant, you know.
Yeah, got it. Morning's on.
I said something brilliant, you go back. Sometimes I do. I'm not promising you that I will every time, but once in a while, something just miraculously appears in my brain and we go for it. But I want to welcome everybody here that's in the room and everybody that's at home. We have how many right now on home? 30 people at home. So we have close to 40 people thus far. I think we have set up for 55, 56. So it's a great, healthy number. Kudos to each and every one of you for taking the time to improve your business, to sit and listen, maybe pick up a few things. And that's always been my objective whenever I run this type of program, is to be able to plant within you one or two ideas. If it's more, fantastic, but one or two ideas that can just shift the needle 1 degree, 2 degree for you, that perhaps picks up the next transaction or two for you throughout the course of the year. And with types of average sale price numbers we're talking about, we're looking at, you know, well in excess of 20,000 gross commission income for one transaction. So you pick up one extra, having 20,000, you know, extra dollars in your pocket, not too bad. If it's two, then that's 40,000. So what you'll see over the course of the next 5 weeks is essentially how I operated my business. So I'm not here to tell you to follow what I'm saying or how I'm saying it or my structure at all. All I'm sharing with you is a peering insight to how I ran my business, so that I had a plan, had a structure, and every day I was able to execute on that mission. And so I was an athlete when I was playing playing hockey and baseball. And, you know, your coaches always give you a plan to get healthy, to get stronger, to get faster. And so I took those types of ideas and principles and placed it into a program that I was able to follow. And so I finally, you know, years ago, put it on paper for a course to teach people. You guys are probably in excess of 5,000 to 6,000 people that have been exposed to the system of real estate that I've created. You'll find through this course that I talk about the 3 big things of real estate and what you need to do, which is to generate a lead is the most important one. When you generate a lead, the second most important thing is to book an appointment with that lead. And then the third most important thing, you book the appointment, generate a lead, book the appointment, is to convert them into a contract, be it a buyer representation agreement if it's a buyer, or a listing agreement if it's a seller. Those are the fundamental 3 things that each and every one of us should be focused on every day. And if you have in your mind's eye a realtor that you aspire to be, that you think would be, in your mind's eye again, the ideal realtor, the realtor, I can guarantee you, is functioning at a very high level on all those 3 aspects. There's other things. In fact, in today's class, we're going to do a quick little diagnostic assessment of you. I'll share a little bit about my background. I've got a degree in psychology, but I have a master's degree in business and leadership and psychology, all combined in one. And I wrote my master's thesis on real estate. This is going back 15, 16 years ago now that I wrote that paper. And it was called Performance Predictors for Realtors. So I used a lot of psychoanalytic data to determine, you know, what it looked like from the perspective of top producers in the industry that I researched and interviewed back in those days, to see what it was that they were doing that was different from the rest. And so part of this course, you'll see some of those attributes and personality traits that are very important to us in the business. And so we're going to do a little self-assessment tool. It's only 10 questions. I have that I'm preparing a bigger kind of syllabus, and perhaps even a book right now is my mission, is to create a book combining all the data research that I've compiled. This happens to be my 31st year in the real estate industry. I started in 1992, so I have a wealth of experience, and I actually walked in your shoes as realtors equally an amount of time as I've been a broker and leader in organized real estate. So I sold from 1992 to 2006, and I've been a broker ever since. I also, for those of you that may or may not know, I'm this current year's president for the Mississauga Real Estate Board. So I'm very active and plugged into organized real estate and what's happening. In fact, this week, there's been a couple of new shifts that you may have heard about, or possible shifts. One is in Realtor.ca. So Realtor.ca is the Canadian Real Estate Association website. And there's a possible change in how that is going to be structured. They may be making it a for-profit entity to compete with all of these technology companies that are out there delivering a quality experience to the consumer. Because we can all probably agree that when you go to Realtor.ca, it doesn't look like some of the high-powered third-party tech companies' websites. So there is this movement afoot. So this is actually just happening this week. I'll be in Ottawa in a few weeks talking about this with the boards across Canada to see where we're going to head. But you know, my belief would be anything that we can deliver back to the consumer that is the best experience possible is going to be helpful for us as an industry. So I provide a little bit of insight to us as the Signature team and family, these things that I'm following. Also this week, I've heard sadly that there's been a few potential changes that they're contemplating. One would be a cooling off period type of thing for offers, similar to when you buy pre-construction, right? There's a 10-day cooling off period. So they're looking at this. I'm very much against that type of system. So I will be leveraging my personal relationships with government officials to educate them on why that would not be a worthwhile or a smart decision. The other things too that they're talking about is mandatory building inspections for all properties. They're talking about possibly outlawing or banning multiple representation as well. So we've heard these things happening out west, right? So British Columbia has implemented some of these changes. And if you listen to what organized real estate's saying out there, it's been a colossal failure. So that's a bit about myself. Please feel free to stop me at any time, ask a question for clarity on your side. Matthew, if you want to just come up here just for a second, just so everybody can see at home. I have Matthew in the room with me for all of these classes. Matthew has worked with me now for probably almost 8 years. He's the eye in the sky for us for this session. So those of you that are at home, you can communicate through chat with Matt. Matt will stop me, throw the question out. So if you have questions at home, please feel free. Like pretend you're sitting here in the room with us and Matt's your voice. We call him the chat with Matt guy. That's what we've come up with. So Matt is an extraordinary resource for our company, by the way. I know a lot of people that are in the Don Mills and downtown avail themselves of his services. He's just a fantastic wizard of technology and everything else. He's one of my right-hand people. I thank you very much, pal. No problem.
And as with, you know, I'm agent services. So just regardless of what office you're with, you can reach out to me for help, joining boards, assistance with your plans, just general questions, feel free. Just because I work out of the Mississauga office doesn't mean those people at Don Mills in downtown can't get my help.
Yeah. So today, by the way, we're going to do a little bit of a exercise of filling in some charts and forms that I've created in when I was running my business, and Matt's going to play around with that based upon the feedback you'll provide. Like, what do you want to earn this year in gross commission income type thing? And these are part of the packages that you were delivered, I guess, yesterday or the day before.
Wednesday
and today. So you would have got a massive data dump of information, of content. So, you know, we're fire hosing you all this information. No need to try and digest it all right away. Take your time, go over the material. As I said earlier, incorporate it in your business if you feel like it's something you can put into your business. It's a value add. If not, then you do what you're currently doing. So as I said, I'm not imposing upon you my structure, but I did have a very specific system that I operated in my business, which we'll share with you today. Any questions before we start? Yeah, we do.
You mentioned the Realtor.ca is what I'm talking about. So is there any ADAS or something that's been on the agent side, or is it just from the dealers?
So it hasn't even, so the question is about Realtor.ca. Can they hear the question? I guess?
Yeah.
So the question about Realtor.ca. So this is just in a very early proposed state. It just came out Tuesday. Is that, in fact, if you go to the Real Estate Magazine, it's a online resource for us in the business. It's called, we call it REM. Stands for Real Estate Magazine. This is a wonderful source of industry knowledge and information in Canada. It's a Canadian website run by reporters and things like that. So they released a story on Tuesday about that. So what will happen is in April at the AGM for Korea, this will be put on the agenda to be discussed by the various boards across Canada. And so what I'm going to be doing through our board, Mississauga Real Estate Board, and here's a shameless plug for me. If you're not a member of the Mississauga Real Estate Board and you're trading real estate outside of the jurisdiction of the Toronto Real Estate Board, meaning you're traveling to, say, Guelph, or you're going to Niagara, you're out to Hamilton or Kitchener, London. This is more particular for my brokerage here at the West End. But for those of you in Don Mills and downtown, you may be trading out east. You may be going to Belleville. You may be going to Kingston. We belong to the platform called ITSOS, Information Technology Systems Ontario. It's a collaboration and alliance of about 20 boards across Ontario. So if you are trading outside of the Greater Toronto Area through TREB's kind of boundaries and geography, you are missing opportunities. You're missing listings for your buyers by not belonging to one of those boards. So what we'll be doing with the Korea thing at our board is we'll be sampling our membership through opinion polls. And so we'll be sending out what is your position on this. We'll give them all the information that Korea will be providing. So this is just early days for this. My first opinion, I would say, on this right now is I would be in favor of us going into a for-profit system for that, based upon the preliminary information I have at my fingertips. It may change based upon more information, but I see it as an opportunity for organized real estate to better itself in that platform. Realtor.ca is still the #1 visited and searched website in Canada for real estate by a long margin. It's not like that in the United States. Realtor.com in the United States is like 8 or 9 in the top 10. We're #1. So we have a great opportunity, I think, to invest into that platform so that we give that experience back. But we'll continue. I'll continue to update as I get information. But my shameless plug there for Merev. If you are a member of any other ITSOS board, no problem. We're just there as a viable option for you if you are doing that business outside. So that's Real Estate Magazine. Any other questions before we get going? Nope. All right. So our first slide. So this is kind of, because this course is really tailor-made for people that have already been in the business for some time and have produced income and done transactions. I always like to start the course by asking the first question you see there. Why did you get into real estate? And so I'm going to be interactive with you at this stage, and I'm going to take the liberty and put a couple on the board, which you're all going to want to give me right away. So let's just get the big one out of the way. Would you agree that everybody got into the business for money? So this is where you want to write down in your notebook, by the way. So we've provided you with this great notebook. You've received it online. I've always been of the opinion to write things down because we do not retain a whole degree or a lot of what we hear. In fact, it's probably only about 30% of what you'll hear me talk about today that you'll actually retain. And as the days and weeks unfold, 30% becomes 25, becomes 20, becomes 15, becomes maybe 10. If you write it down, you'll always have the resource to go back to. Money. Let's get this one out of the way. Be your own boss. Those are the two big ones that we all would probably have aspired to wants when we got into real estate. Would we agree with that? Yeah. All right, so let's get into other reasons why you may have gotten in. So I want to bring you back because maybe sometimes when people start a course like this with me, they want to rejuvenate themselves. They want that magic pill. Mike's going to solve the problem. He's going to give me the secret that's going to change my life. I might not even know it when I do it, but that's really not the objective. And you may be in the room or at home and say, well, listen, I'm already flying on all cylinders. I'm not here to rejuvenate. I'm just here to pick up those couple ideas, which is great. But go back to that moment where you made the decision to sign up for your courses, whether they were through AREA or whether through the new program. Why did you get into real estate? This is an important exercise, and I'll share with you after we finish this. Why? Yeah.
Well, my husband and I, we have few properties.
Okay.
And at certain point, we decided to try to rent it by ourselves.
Okay.
So of course, I wasn't in charge of that because I wasn't a realtor at that time.
Sure.
He was working, and I realized that first of all, before I always had like a desk job,
Yes.
and I realized how rewarding it is to work with people.
Right.
And second of all, I realized that there is a lot of people outside looking for properties.
Yeah.
Because normally when I accepted one offer, I have to say no to several ones that were also good.
Yeah.
And then I realized, what if I can also work without people?
Yes. Yeah. So we got two of them. I'm going to start with the second one you mentioned. We'll go to your first one in a moment. So work with people. I love that. And I hear that virtually every session that I take. Do we want to work with everyone, with every person that we encounter, right? So part of this course is going to be helping you perhaps qualify whether or not you want to engage in a relationship professional with those people. So absolutely, we want to work with people, but can we maybe say work with, and I'll add this word, the right people. And the right people means for you, like right for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The other was to do your own trades. Hear this one almost every time I teach as well. Do your own trade. So you're an investor class person as well, right? Why rely upon a third party person to do that for you? You've gotten into the business, so now you're going to manage your own transactions. It's fantastic. Anybody else in the room that's doing the same thing? Or at home? Yeah, we got nods. Nobody at home. Very common. Any others?
Farida just wants to help people with the biggest investment of their life.
Perfect. Help with largest investment. Beautiful.
And Amber wants a no ceiling, unlimited growth potential.
That one. She's smart. We're all smart, by the way. She said, unlimited ceiling. Do you know what the flip side to that is? There's no floor either. And this is the challenge of real estate, right? You have this unlimited income earning potential, this unlimited ceiling, fly 40,000 feet in the air, get into outer space, go to the moon, go to Mars, but there's a floor. And the problem is that a lot of realtors operate at a floor level and they don't operate at a ceiling level. And they don't have inside of them faith in themselves that they can go out and make 100,000, 200, 400, 500, a million, $1.5 million, $2 million. When you talk to some people and say, I can show you how to make $500,000 a year in real estate, the vast majority of people I would have that conversation with don't believe they can do that. They think it's just an unrealistic aspiration. And I'm here to tell you that belonging to our company here, that there's a lot of people that you're walking in these corridors with, that you're attending events with, that make a lot more than that kind of income. They're very quiet and humble about it. And there's people that make serious money. If money is your motivator, this unlimited ceiling, you have to buy into the belief system that you can do it and that you're worthy of it too. Some people feel some shame and, oh, I don't know if I should be making that kind of money. And I'm here to tell you, cut those belief systems out completely. Why not? Why not? You're good people. We've already said, some of you, you want to help people. You want to help them with the biggest, largest investment in their life. Well, as a professional, be compensated for that.
Now, Valentina previously had bad experience with realtors and wanted to help the community do it properly.
Bad experience. Bad experience.
Steve wants independence, no limits, opportunity to be creative.
Love independence.
Sin wants no boss.
Should be with the industry in a possible way, no ceiling, more time with family.
More time. These are all brilliant. More time for family. Say that one again.
Build positive relationships and have a happy point in both lives.
I love the word relationships. Hate the word database. You hear the word database probably a lot, right? Don't think of it as a database. Think of it as relationships. You have 10 people that you have in whatever customer relationship management system you have, and see how it says relationship right in the word CRM? CRM. That word is that word. That's not an error. That's for a reason. And if you are looking and operating with a CRM, and there's all kinds of them out there, I'm not here to advocate any one of them. You choose the one that you find suits your needs the best. When you put a name in there, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, when you put a name in there, that's a relationship person that you have with them. Because that person will be your walking, talking billboard for you. And what does that mean? Well, they're sitting in their office in their cubicle maybe, and they hear across the way somebody talking about maybe buying real estate or selling real estate. The relationship person you put in there, because they trust you, love you, and advocate for you, their ears pop up and they're out there trying to convince that person that they got to call Mike. That's what you guys are focusing in on when you're building this relationship management system, okay? It's not about quantity at all. So all of what you're saying without even realizing it is focused back on the relationship side. Cement a relationship. It's not the competition about, oh, I have 500 people in my CRM. Okay, that's great. If you do, and they're all personal relationships, and I can sit down and go, what's their first name, last name? What's their dog's name? What's their kid's name? How old are they? What's their anniversary? When did they buy the property and move in? If you have the answer to that and you have 500 people, God bless you. Fantastic. That's a relationship. But I'm here to tell you that in a CRM, you can have as little as 10 people that are deep relationships with you. Does anybody know what the average person each year knows of another person that's going to buy, sell, or refer real estate? Each and every one of us in this room know how many people this year that will buy real estate, sell real estate, or have an opportunity to refer it. Does anybody know the answer to that? It's amazing. It's the number 3. Here to tell you, if you only have 10 people that are solid relationships in a CRM, they're quality people, They know through 3 people, that's 30 opportunities for you to compete for a listing, for a buyer, or potential referral. Now multiply this number up. I know there's people in this audience and at home that have more than that. And you're trying to get behind this person to get into that level of opportunity. Does that make sense? Is that exciting for people to hear that? Because here's the problem and the reality. A lot of realtors, and over 31 years, I've witnessed tens of thousands of people in and out of my career and taught probably 5,000 or 6,000 of them. Everybody's out there searching for the magic bullet, the secret, as I said before. It really isn't. It's very simple stuff. When we contact people, in our company, we call it the connectivity plan. I'm completely on board with that. Me was the contact. Get out there and meet people, have conversations with people. Because that's how you're going to develop a long-term viable business. And that's when you can start to say, you know, you got 30 opportunities. Let's just say you didn't even get half of them. Let's say you got 20% of those. How many deals are you going to get? 6 deals. 6. I'm setting the bar really low for you. At 6 deals, at $20,000 or $25,000 in GCI that you can harvest from that relationship system. And I'm going to show you later, Matt's going to do an interactive thing on how I did my lead generation. Because it's all about generating the leads through that database. Does that make sense? Any questions thus far? And I loved, this is one of the better ones, eh? Would you say, Matt? Of the reasons why. And why did I start with this? Because it's your reason why that you wake up every day to get into real estate, and put the shoes on. And listen, we all put our pants on, well, at least us men do, the same way, one leg at a time. But there's got to be that motivation and that energy you need to get out there and do that. Because would you agree we can get frustrated very quickly in this business? Would you agree that there's other realtors that are very frustrated and other realtors like to spread frustration around? Thankfully, we don't have a lot of that with our company. We are a very special brokerage in that respect. I have this great analogy, Matt's heard me say it a few times. It comes from my psychology education, that if you imagine each and every one of us were garbage trucks, okay? Just pretend you're a garbage truck. What does the garbage truck have in its back? It has garbage. Let's see. It has garbage. Would you agree? Every one of us has some garbage in our lives. Like none of us is pristine. Would you agree with that? There's something in each and every one of our lives that we're having in that back garbage truck. But most of us do not drive around and go to Gagan's front lawn with our garbage truck and empty our garbage on that front lawn. And we spoil the beautiful manicured lawn. Most people don't do that. We keep it in, okay? But some do. When you're going to build this business of relationships, what's the likelihood those people are going to dump garbage on your front lawn? Not likely. So I'm trying to get you and encourage you to gravitate away from trying to find these mysterious people that exist out there that want to buy and sell real estate. I'm not saying totally abandon that, but don't make that the major platform of your business. Because every day, like I said, you want to wake up, you want to put your pants on, your skirt on, and you want to go out there with a happy countenance and fill all those dreams for those people. It's your why. There's a great book, Cynic, right? Your why. You ever want to read it? I've got it in my library at home. Garbage. And don't go and drop garbage in somebody else's lawn either. We don't like to do that. It's not proper. Next question. Was there any questions about that, by the way? Next question. Why do I sell the way that I do? And I'm going to give you 2 ways to look at that question. You have option 1, you're a farmer. Who's heard techniques called farming techniques in real estate? 1, 2, yeah. What's the other way we could be selling the way we want to do? There's a farmer and there's an H. Hunter. Okay. There's a distinct difference between the two. So in your mind's eye right now, think of what you prefer or what is the behavior you're exhibiting. And we'll use these things to help you understand where you are, farmer or a hunter. A farmer does this. They seeds for leads. You ever heard that term before? Did. That's my term. I came up with that. Seeding for leads is what a farmer does. Okay. A farmer is more reactive. You know what I mean by that? I got to plant the seed. I got to feed this, the soil. I got to, react to the temperature. Got to do whatever, and I got to let the thing grow. I got to nurture it. Okay, so you're more reactive. What do you think the hunter does?
Target.
Target's a great word. I just saw that coming. Proactive, exactly. So you're more proactive. You're more proactive. Target. I would say these are the people that are booking appointments relentlessly. That is their focus. Now, here's the cool thing. You don't have to be exclusively one or the other. Okay, so I'm not saying to you guys, okay, you got to be a hunter and that's all you got to be, or you got to be a farmer, that's all you got to be. You can be what I was. There's a third option, and that's called the chameleon. Combination of the two. What suits the situation. Situation specific and context specific. But these are the attributes and skills. By the way, when I did my thesis, these are types of things I was researching in the population of very successful realtors at that time. Well, I'm standing here, 15, 16 years later saying to you that the skills and attributes and behaviors that they had then are no different than they are today. There's been no shift to change, okay? And so this is what I looked at. Farmer hunter or the chameleon. So ask you, I just went ahead there for some reason. Ask yourself, why do I sell the way that I do using this matrix? It's going to help you understand maybe where there might be a weak point or an opportunity for you to change and shift just a little bit. Maybe you're a little bit too heavy on the farmer side, or maybe you're so hunter focused, you're forgetting about those people you've worked with. Because in the hunter category, these people are transaction based. Let me put that word up. These people are transaction based. In my research, I was actually shocked to find out how some top producers didn't have repeat referral business in their database. A lot of them. They were not nurturing the past experience. They were so focused on the new business, that they forgot about this absolute gold mine of people that they worked with, people that knew them, liked them, and trust them. And they were relying upon those people years later to just pick up the phone and call Mike. And a lot of them didn't. And a lot of them didn't because another Mike showed up and developed that relationship with them. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Just to understand the hunter part, I'm not sure I've heard that before. So a farmer is when you take like a specific area or group of people, and you just start sending information to them and trying to,
That's a technique of a farmer. That's
Exactly.
one technique, sure.
okay.
Yeah.
A hunter is what, like when you already know that there are those three people looking for properties and then you focus on those three.
For
and
sure.
Be more direct.
So a hunter, yeah, that's one method of a hunter's. Another could be a hunter's examining the landscape here in Mississauga and realizes there's a real shortfall of listings in, say, Port Credit. Okay. And so what do? They start getting on the phone and calling homeowners or knocking on doors in Port Credit because there's not enough listings in Port Credit. That's that hunter mentality. Go out, there's an opportunity, there's something missing. I'm going to go out and I'm going to be providing a solution, which is to get a listing for that area. Or in your case, you're saying you have a bona fide buyer that's looking for a specific area. Well, I'm going to go and knock doors to see if there's a seller that's willing to sell. That's the hunter. But here's what I'm advocating. Again, this is your choice. This is just my opinion. Is to be the chameleon, to incorporate both aspects of it. So you're running both systems in parallel to each other. Because here's the reality to me. Long-term, much more better business. The farming one, because you're really developing and seeding those relationships as opposed to bouncing around transactionally based. Yes.
Fred wants to know if the combination of the two is ideal.
In my opinion, I do believe so. That is what you would want to aspire to, is having a parallel business model that's running both. So each day when you wake up in your schedule, and I know we hate making schedules. I know I'm in line with that. But by doing that, you're taking so much pressure and stress off yourself by planning your day. So each day we're going to look at some statistics momentarily about what a ideal successful realtor is doing in their day. And it's shocking the amount that's dedicated to this side too, okay? But incorporate that side, parallel them together and be the chameleon. A chameleon, for those of you who don't know, can change its color based upon its environment, right? Any other questions about it? Yep, we had a question in the room.
Yeah, I just want to tie back to the CRM concept.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's two components. You're actually incorporating it into your CRM
Correct.
and implementing and monitoring for your
100%.
process.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, somebody had mentioned, why'd you get a real estate? To be your own boss. So you're wearing multiple hats as the boss, right? So you as the boss have to delegate to yourself all of these types of activities. And so you're going to be, that's the challenge, right? That's the consequences of saying, I want to be my own boss. But the more you can organize yourself, the better and more effective you're going to be when you're introduced to clients. And you're not going to be reinventing things each and every time you meet somebody. I had, for every specific situation, whether I was working with buyers or sellers, a ready-made package to hand over to them. This is going back like 15, 16 years. You don't even need to sit down and prepare that anymore. This company provides that to you through our design center, free of charge. If you're not using our services in the back end, please, there's one thing you take away today: avail yourself of that resource. Because instead of spending 10 hours or 5 hours preparing something, it's ready to print out for you or back end. It's amazing content. What I would say to you, if you haven't already done it though, is build something that's personal for you as well, and use our stuff as a complementary, to complement, your packages as well. So you're delivering lots of resources to people. People right now, I'll give you two terms that I've been percolating in my mind right now because of what we've gone through in the two to 3 years. And I'm going to probably write a chapter on this eventually. And I think it's two things right now that we're dealing with. Sorry, I want that one out. Emotion versus economics. I think right now with what we've gone through with COVID-19, the lockdowns and the fundamental, breakdowns in some of the economics, personal household economics of people, that's really been exposed in the last 10 months with the interest rate hikes. Right now, as realtors, if I was selling again, I would be very mindful of those two words, balancing the emotions of the situation with the economics of the situation. So not saying that you have to go out and become, Sigmund Freud here, but to bear in mind what is going through a lot of human beings' lives right now on the emotional front because of the economics. More so than I've ever witnessed, quite frankly, in my career. And I started my career in a down market that lasted for 4 or 5 years. But what we've gone through right now is it's so similar to that, but it has a different feel to me about it. And so I'd be very mindful while you're out there meeting people to keep in mind those two variables. Anyways, I'm myself just kind of ruminating on those types of things, and I'll put it on paper eventually once I kind of figure that out. Yes, sir.
On that part, what do you see the differences between today's market and back in the period of GFC, right? 2008, 2009.
Yeah, there's a housing crisis and supply right now that didn't exist to the extent that it exists right now. And then you've got the massive amount of personal and sovereign debt that's sitting on the balance sheet of individuals and our different levels of government. So those are huge reasons why. Now, back in the 90s, the Chrétien government went to austerity because they had massive budgets as well, but not the kind of deficits we're running today. And there's just a lot of pressure on individuals right now. And we've never seen the amount of immigration to our area ever before that we're going to see. And with the lack of homes to put people in, it's going to cause more anxiety with people. All right. So to me, the emotions and economics are such a huge pillar, those two pillar pieces that are influencing people's decisions. Just think about it. When you go to somebody's house, one of those two variables I think is in play for their decision to sell their house or why they're buying a house. Okay. And it could be positive reasons. Like the emotion part, we just got married, we're starting a family, they're excited, and their economics is fine because they're both gainfully employed. Or it could be the other side, where somebody may have lost their job economics, it's creating problems, emotionally, and now they have to sell. So you are really balancing, as practitioners and professionals, these two, I think, variables that are front and center and prominent in anything you're doing right now, my opinion. What does it feel to be a client, like a client of mine? So be empathetic here for a second, and put yourself in the shoes of your clients, your past clients. What's that experience like for them? This is where you're going to have to be very, what's the word? You're going to have to be critical of yourself. And it may not be a nice word you want to put down there, but that's where you uncover these blind spots to help improve. So for instance, I'll throw a couple things out for you to think about. How prompt are you in responding to their calls or emails? Now I'm talking here, by the way, clients. You're engaged in a business relationship with them, okay? How prompt are you in responding to them? Very prompt. How empathetic are you to their situation? Whose need is being put at forefront, their need or your need? Remember, when you're a client, there's this big legal term that you've entered into this relationship with them, right? It's called a fiduciary relationship. Everybody know that, right? You are in a fiduciary relationship. You'll learn that in your courses. A lot of us forget that though when we get licensed. And that means that their needs supersede your needs, just at the very top level of that. That means you have to give them a full accounting of what's happening. When I say accounting, I mean the money part, right? You have to operate in good faith with them. You got to give them loyalty. You got to give them a thing called obedience. Obedience actually comes with a caveat though, meaning that if they tell you to do something illegal, you don't go and do it, okay? Those are the types of fiduciary relationship. So what is it like from their point of view, their experience? And if you're having a problem figuring it out, here's my suggestion to you. Call your people. This is a reason to call people. It's gonna be a hard call maybe for you. Hey, listen, I'm looking to improve my business for 2023. Could you share with me what it was like working with me? What the experience was like? What did you really like about what I delivered? Was there anything that you would like me to improve? It's a very helpful way for you to improve your business. It's tough. I'm not here standing here and tell you this is going to be an easy call to make, but why not do it? Businesses spend lots of money in research institutional organizations to get that information. Remember, you told me you want to be your own boss. So you call that department in your company, which is you, to go and do that research. Okay?
Also got a Google review.
Pardon me?
Also got to get a Google review for the same.
Google reviews, right? Yes. What do I want to accomplish? What is it that you're looking to do? This is a personal question. It's not why you got into the business. That's the why. This is the what. What is it you want to accomplish? Some people are motivated by plaques and awards, and that's fun. Some people are motivated by the financial aspect, which is fine. Some people are motivated by the helping people, which is fine. But what is it that you really want to accomplish? And lastly, what changes can you make in your life to make that happen? I want to share with you the reality of your day every day. 50,000 to 60,000. Things happen in your life every day. Does anybody know what the answer to that is? Each and every one of us experience 50 to 60,000 similar things every day. Does anybody want to guess what that is? Huh? We have a winner in the room. You've taken my course before. It's thoughts. Every day, each and every one of us have 50 to 60,000 thoughts. Been proven by neuroscience. Now, out of the vast majority of those, they classify them as routine. Routine thoughts, which means that we are all probably sharing the same thoughts. So if you think back a few hours ago when you woke up, you probably instantly had some thoughts in your mind. Could be like what I had. Well, I'm gonna have to take a shower. I'm gonna have to get dressed. I have to brush my teeth. I'm gonna have breakfast. I'm gonna have to make a coffee. Those are pretty similar thoughts that I think most of us would share. Maybe it was a tea or maybe it's orange juice, I don't know. But would you agree that we all probably went through a similar experience this morning? Well, most of those experiences throughout the day, we are all sharing, and they're called routine thoughts. A very small number of those are what you would call, believe it or not, non-routine thoughts. You're getting a lot of non-routine thoughts already. We've been at this for about 50 minutes. I've thrown at you probably thoughts that you hadn't been thinking about that are non-routine. It's the fire hose when you have a capacity for a garden hose, hence why I ask you to write things down so that you can refer to them later. But this is where opportunity lies for you and change can occur for you. Because does anybody know how long it takes to break a habit? Because these some people can refer to these as habits. I use the word change, okay? Well, I'm going to give you a new word for what I would say you want to do with a habit when you want to change a habit. Here's the word, write it down. You want to fracture, break, fracture, right? Everybody know what fracturing your leg would be like? Pretty painful, right? Let's do a really bad fracture, a compound fracture of your femur. That's what you need to do. Fracture your bad habits. Break them. Would this be a non-routine thought right now? You guys are thinking, you're imagining right now breaking the biggest bone in your body, are you not? Okay, so now we want to redevelop new habits, reform them, repair them. If we've just fractured our femur, it's the biggest bone in our body, and you're trying to fracture the biggest bad habit you've got. Maybe you're a procrastinator. Has everybody heard that word before? Maybe you're a procrastinator. That's the habit we're looking at breaking, fracturing. It's going to take you probably 60 days. Science is a little bit wobbly on that. Some are as low as like 45, 50, and some are as high as like 80 or 90. Let's just go with 60 as an average. If it's going to take you 60 days to fracture that bad habit, how long do you think it's going to take you to repair with a new repaired femur and habit?
Habits I've heard 21 days, but I don't know.
Here to tell you that that's not the case. Why are we doing that?
It might be me, I don't know.
Yeah, stop that. 21 days. Well, that's what we always kind of hear, or 30 days. Because we hear that usually sometime in December when we start to be bombarded with all of the New Year's resolutions people are going to do. Well, that's just not the right number, because we know by experience, most people abandon those New Year's resolutions quite quickly, within a week or two or three. They haven't fractured the bad habit that they needed to fracture. Maybe it's procrastination. So they got out of bed and went to the gym. Let's just say it's the gym. Or you want to eat healthier. Well, let's use the gym. You're so motivated that first week because everybody's talking about it. And you drag your butt out and do the gym thing. And you do it, and your body, what does your body do the next day? It screams at you and says, what the heck are you think you're doing? Stop that. Like, you're aching everywhere, right? I'm talking about something that's starting fresh. You haven't exercised long enough. But you know, you're motivated because everybody's still saying New Year's resolution. So you make it through the first week. Maybe you make it through the second week. And are you not feeling good? Like, you're like, there's something changing here. This is great. You wake up in the morning. You haven't fractured completely the bad habit. You wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, I'll skip today. I've been to the gym 10 days out of the last 12. I can skip today. Although I booked it, I'll skip it. Bad situation. Because now you go back, you're going to go backwards. It's going to be harder to go the next day and the next day. So for habits, it's 60 to 90 days. But you got to first break the bad habit to create the new habit. You got to fracture the bad. And I use that language because I want it to burn into your brain. So what are you doing right now that's a bad habit for the hunter, farmer, chameleon matrix? Yes.
Steve says one of his weaknesses is oversharing. Emails too long, more details than needed.
Yes.
He needs to find a way to, he doesn't want to skim the details, but he needs to find balance.
This is going to be revolutionary, folks. For those of you who have not heard of this technology, it's an AI technology. Microsoft has just put $10 billion into this platform. It's called ChatGPT. Google is a little bit behind on this, but they've announced this week they're coming out with their own. It's going to be called Bard. I had Matthew and Ken sit in a course we took this week. So Yes, I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student. I'll be a student for the rest of my life, and I hope everybody has that same mindset. We spent about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, on a real estate specific application for Chat GPT. This is a right now in the beta phase, and what you can do with this for our business is shocking. You can prompt it to do exactly what you want to do. You want to write an email, you don't want to spend a half an hour or an hour on it. You prompt it and you educate it in your own language, in your own style. Maybe you're a passive, polite communicator. You prompt ChatGPT, which is AI technology, to write an email to a very valued client, and you want to cover, what questions they may have on financing. And within 30 seconds, you get a brilliant response. The applications we witnessed are phenomenal. Now, you can go and try and get are you still on the waiting list?
Yes.
Yeah. So I heard about this over the Christmas holidays and signed up for a user account and got in. This thing has grown exponentially faster than any technology that you've ever heard of, including YouTube, Facebook, Google itself, Netflix. This thing has spiraled into a massive thing. So I'm sharing with you now, just so that you're aware of it. Matt signed on Tuesday or Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. He's still waiting to get access. That's the backlog on this system, because it's not a monetized system yet. But was it Steve that asked that question?
Yes.
Yeah. So Steve, this here is the future for a lot of us in diminishing the time you're going to spend in writing content. Let's say you want to be a blog person, you want to have your own podcast or something, and you're thinking, how do I get content for that? And the room we're sitting in right now, we're having this set up as a blog podcasting friendly room. Well, it's going to take you a day to figure that out. You have the ideas. This is the thing. You need the ideas, and you just put the ideas into the prompt and ChatGPT, and it'll come out in 30 seconds, 40 seconds with your entire podcast. Believe it. I personally have tested it. As I should do, I've gone to university. My electives were in history, and I am a avid reader of Canadian Second World War history because my grandfather served and landed actually on D-Day in the first wave. So I'm very, very qualified on what happened on D-Day for Canada. I could teach it at a PhD level. I asked ChatGPT to write a 5-page essay, to write a 15-page essay, and to write a 30-page essay on the Canadians' involvement on D-Day. With the 30-page, I asked it to do quotations, endnotes, and a bibliography. And within 30 seconds for all three, it produced a paper that was brilliant. And neither paper resembled the other. And when I read them, I was astonished that this had happened. Now, there's no maliciousness to this, so there are parameters, so you can't do anything hateful or stuff like that. But I'm telling you, this will revolutionize your business and your excuses, quite frankly, for not doing things like podcasts or writing ad content or doing a Facebook post or Instagram post. It's going to be there for, oh, by the way, it'll pull images for you. It does so many things. There's a question.
What about, I don't know, like originality or copyright? What if you and I end up with the same content?
Never. It's never going to be the same content. It's unique each time. So I will share this with you. What we learned on this course is that while universities have responded immediately, they've created AI detecting programs to be able to detect whether students are submitting papers. And of course, kids were doing that. So there is they showed us one of the platforms where it'll tell you when you put the script in that it is human content created or AI created. However, as Matt's grinning, there's already been discovered workarounds to beat those technologies where you can take AI produced content, modify it, prompts a couple of ways, and then it'll show in all the filters that it was human content created. So when you When you're gonna publish things like that's created as an output for here, there is a possibility that the search engines may push it down because it recognizes it as being computer generated, AI generated, not human content. Google's saying right now that it's not doing that, but the reality is ChatGPT is Microsoft. Microsoft wants to take that, so they're in the lead right now. They want to take that and put it on their search engine called Bing. Google, which I would guess the vast majority of us use Google and not Bing. I can't remember last night. I had forgotten that Microsoft search engine was called Bing until I saw that course a couple of days ago. Google's catching up, and Google will take the lead. They brought back all the leadership that they that were retired from Google, that created Google. They're back in the company creating Bard. But I'm telling you, folks, this is going to be there's an old word from the 80s called paradigm shift. I'm not sure if anybody's heard that term in business, where there's a fundamental shift in the way we're going to do things. This is going to change a lot. You can write computer code through this. You can be a graphic designer through this. The applications are endless. So Steve, you're not going to have an excuse. Not that you had one, but ChatGPT is going to be phenomenal for your business. Any other questions?
Someone just cleared a MBA test from what school using ChatGPT?
Yeah, imagine that. There's PhD papers that have been cleared through ChatGPT.
There's an app called Quillbot where you can
Exactly.
paraphrase all the stuff you get from
That's right.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
No one can trace it.
That's the one they showed, actually, was that one, remember? Yeah. All right, we'll get into what it looks like in a day of a life. There's a question, Matt?
More of a comment.
Yeah.
Just regarding that last point on your previous slide, what changes can you make?
Yes.
Freeba's been doing great at farming areas, but she says the change she needs to make is to then transition to more of a hunter for those areas to get appointments booked and to
100%.
actually hit houses.
100%.
Yeah.
Good for you. Absolutely. So this is a survey of what it looks like in a day of a life of a successful realtor. And so what did that look like back in the day? Well, somebody that was doing 30 to 40 transactions a year. That number is going to probably be 50 to 80 transactions now because of the scale of everything that we're running. So this is, I think this is all pre-printed in the books, right? Let me just double check that.
Yeah, this should be that.
Yeah. So this is the day in the life. 50% engaged in assorted chores, paperwork, and follow-up. This is where top producing agents that I've been exposed to hire administrators. These are not, I'll put an X on it. These are not lead generating activities that you should be doing as a successful realtor. Engage in some form of email, social media activities. X for you top producers in the room and at home. Not where you want to be. Not saying that if you're working up to that level that you shouldn't be doing that now. Yes, you're your own boss and you're wearing every department hat right now. But when you get your business scaled up, these are outsourcing activities. Here's the check mark. 35% of the working day is engaged in some form of prospecting activities generating leads. If you're working an 8-hour day, that means you're working 3.5 hours each day at prospecting. Measure yourself against that in our questionnaire that we're going to have in the next slide. I'm going to give you a check on that if you're doing 20% in appointment activities. And this one, I'm giving you an X. So what do you got? 55% of your working day should be doing appointments or generating leads. Measure yourself against that in the questionnaire we're going to do next. And if you're falling short, don't feel disgruntled, don't feel upset, don't get discouraged. There's a blind spot that we just revealed for you. There's another non-routine thought you've just been seeded by me, okay? And these are the challenges, or let's even, I'm being polite. These are the excuses a lot of people would give, right? Of why they do or do not do things. All right, next slide. Here's the little personal survey that I want you guys to do for yourself. And the way so this is part of my thesis, by the way, on a much smaller scale. I had like 144 questions actually in mine, but I've condensed it to 10. Because I don't think you want me to be teaching you for like 8 hours in one day, right? So let's draw a line down there. Ideal realtor, remember I talked to you about in your mind's eye, maybe the person you want to emulate or you want to be like. Could be from our office, could be somebody outside. Put that person in your mind's eye. And now you're going to compare yourself to that person. The first three are in green. You've heard me say it already. Lead generation, booking appointments, closing on a contract. These are the three most fundamental things that we're doing in real estate. What are you going to give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 to 10 in lead generation. The ideal realtor right now that you are thinking about, what do you think that person's lead generation number would be? Write it down. Now, what do you think you, compared to that person, should rank? So these are called self-assessments. Everybody ever done self-assessments before? Next, on booking an appointment. I'm going to teach you a dialogue today as well. So it's not just teaching stuff. I'm going to give you a couple things to take right away where you can start booking appointments for these leads that you're generating, okay? What's the ideal realtor and booking appointment, and where are you? Is the ideal a 9? They're that good at it, or they're a 10, and maybe you're a 6? Be honest with yourself. Nobody in the room and nobody at home is going to go and ask you what your number is at the end of this. This is personal. If you don't want to be authentic and answer authentically, the only person you're taking advantage of is yourself. Not me, not anybody else in the company in the room. Signing the contract. This is getting them to sign on as a buyer with you or a listing. How good are you? What's the ideal? Is the ideal person a 10? Are they a 9? Are they an 8? What are you? And then we get into other very, very important things, but arguably not the top 3. Number 4, developing a plan for a client. Have you, in your business right now, do you have the ability to create a specific solution and plan for the people you're dealing with? This is why I said our stuff is fantastic. Use it. But here's the liability or limitation of that. That's a generic program that's available to everybody. What do you have specifically that you created for a solution for a client? And I'll just to help you understand, do you have an actual roadmap that you can give to somebody on what you're going to do the first day you're live to the market? First 5 days. What's the first 15 days look like? What's the 30 days look like? What's 60 days look like? What does 90 days look like? If you're signing a listing for 90 days, do you think it would be a good idea to provide that client of yours with, here's what I'm doing for you? This is what I'm doing to solicit offers for your listing? Because, of course, we've always heard, well, everybody's the same in real estate. We just do the same thing. Everybody heard the word commodity? Does everybody know what a commodity is? A lot of consumers like to think that realtors are commodities. We all do the same thing. Hey, listen, all you got to do, Mike, you're just signing a list and putting it on MLS, it's going to sell for itself. Why should I pay you 5%? Well, if I let them think that way, I've made myself a commodity. I'll give you an example of a couple of commodities now that you'll go, oh, okay, I understand what I'm saying. Has everybody ever heard of this thing called gold? Right? Gold. Like maybe you have a gold ring, a gold necklace, gold. Gold. AG, I think, or is it AU on the periodic table? I forget that now. AG or AU. One's silver, one's gold. Here's the thing about gold. It's a commodity. which means that gold has a price that everybody pays for the ounce of gold. Like they tag it to an ounce of gold. Let's just say it's, for argument's sake, $1,800 for an ounce of gold, US dollars. So whether you're in Canada, whether you're on your favorite island in the Caribbean, or whether you're in Europe or any other place in the world, the cost to you to buy that ounce of gold is the same because it's a commodity. One of the biggest challenges for you to fracture right now as a bad habit is to stop thinking of yourself as that commodity. When you hear somebody say to you, well, you're all the same, all you do is you're buying into the belief system that they have that you're a commodity. Who wins that argument? Not you. Push back. Developing a plan, which most realtors have no specific client plans in place, differentiates you, makes you not so much a commodity. Does that make sense to everybody? Taking control. I just took control of a conversation there and shared with you why I'm not a commodity. How good are you to do that at the kitchen table or here in the office when you're meeting with the buyer? Because maybe the buyer's going to say, hey, Mike, you know, everybody else is doing it. I want 1% cash back. Well, if I say, okay, I become a commodity. Am I a commodity? I'm not. And I'm hoping you will be as well. Ability to qualify people. How many times have I had to have conversations with realtors that have taken their client, their buyer, to the altar of getting an offer done, right? And then they have to back out because they're not qualified. Why were you even working with somebody in that respect and going through all of that work for somebody that's not qualified? How good are you taking control and getting them qualified? It should never be in your vehicle. If you're going to choose to work with buyers and have them in your vehicle, it should never be in your vehicle until you know exactly what their capability and capacity to buy real estate is. Does that make sense? Who does that here? Nobody. Good. Awesome. Ability to persuade. Yes, there's a question.
To know that is the word of that client good enough?
The question was, is the word of that client good enough? No. Please do not take the word of a client. It's not saying, though, that you don't believe in the client, that you have any doubt that what they're telling you is true. However, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, in our industry, we're going to be asked these types of questions by the sellers, perhaps. And for me to have the ability to know exactly what your capability and capacity is important, because we wouldn't want to have any disappointment. I wouldn't want to disappoint you and take you to a property that unfortunately we were not able to financially purchase. So do not never take their word for it, right? They're not a bona fide buyer if you don't know what the capacity is.
So in that case, we ask them for like a, let's say they say they are already pre-approved.
Yes.
So we ask them for proof of that?
Yeah. So the question or comment is, say they're already pre-approved. They've gone to their lender that you don't have a relationship with. So it'd be, you know, the dialogue would be like, hey, Matt, I appreciate that. You've gone to your friend at the Royal Bank of Canada. Listen, the way I operate, which is different from most, is we assemble a big team to help you obtain the objective that we're looking for you. And so part of that team now is going to be your friend that's helped qualify you. What's the name of that person? Oh, it's John Smith. Great. Can you give me John's number? Because I'd love to bring John into the conversation, because of course we're going to have other people that have to be part of this team. So now we know too, me as the realtor, you and your friend as the mortgage broker, we need to have a lawyer that's on board on this team, a building inspector that's going to be part of this team. So to help facilitate an efficient transaction, who would that person be? What's their number? And then, yeah, you can reach out to that person, or maybe you ask the client to give you the introduction that, hey, Mike's going to give you a call. But you do not want to be walking into properties with people that don't have the capacity ability to buy real estate. You want to know that. That's so important. That's like a doctor trying to diagnose somebody without doing a blood test, without checking your heart, without checking your temperature. Like these are the basic foundational pieces of what we're doing, right? And if anybody's going to push back on that, then you have to ask yourself the question, do I want to work with that person? If they're not willing, with me being the professional to purchase the largest investment they may make in their life, if they're not willing to share that information, that should be an instant red flag for you. That make sense? Yeah, question, yeah?
Yeah, for a buyer, would you say having a pre-approval mortgage be qualified?
Sure, so long as you're able to connect. So the question was, can they hear that through there? Fine.
Maybe.
So if they have a pre-approval, they show it to you. Do we trust that? Well, of course, you're not going to doubt that they fabricated information, okay? But what would you like to do? You'd like to verify that work, right? You'd like to talk to the financial person, because maybe we don't realize that this is the top number they qualify for, and they better not add any more debt to their credit card, or they better not go and make a car purchase. How many times have I had people walk into my office over my career and say, oh my God, my buyers went and bought a new car this week and we're closing next week, and now their mortgage person's not qualifying them. So you want to know these types of things so you can have those conversations. Think about the value add you're providing with that information. So be like, hey, Kevin, awesome, you're qualified for $1.5 million. And just remember, you can't go buy that Ferrari now that you want to park in that 3-car garage we're going to get, right? So you have that conversation in a fun way, and it's you're building the trust and relationship with that person. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, another question?
What about the point of view of the seller?
Yeah.
What piece of information that you would want to have to move them to, the status of being one of buyers?
So you're talking about from a seller's perspective. I'm coming in with a buyer, and I wanted to help allay any fears the seller may have that my person's not qualified. Well, that's something that you have to discuss with your buyer, if they'd be willing for you to share that information first, right? Because you remember, you're a fiduciary, and privacy is another big aspect of being in a fiduciary relationship. You can't disclose those types of things without their permission. So if you think in a situation in the marketplace that we had a year ago, where it was so competitive that would be something to your advantage to do, have our buyer give you permission to release that information, to show the seller, look, we are qualified, we do have paper for that, and we're good, right? Only with the buyer's permission though. Okay. Number 8, effectively negotiate terms. We're going to have a course on this one. The 2 big ones are your price and closing date. What's the ideal realtor doing? What are you doing? And the last 2. This is something that, again, here's a non-routine thought I'm planting in for you today to take home. I will make an educated guess, because I've been in the business for a long, long time, that the vast majority of you should be excellent. You're probably 9s or 10s in the short-term client experience. And what does the short-term mean? I'm actively right now working for you. I'm actually trying to find a property for you to buy, or I'm actively trying to sell your property. So short-term is we're in the middle of a transaction. What's the ideal realtor look like, and what do you look like? And I'm saying, I'm not even going on a limb here to say, my suspicion is each and every one of you get that right. You're pretty high. It's why you probably got them as a client. But here's where, over my years, I've discovered that there's a bit of a gap. It's a bit of a problem. It's in the midterm to long-term relationship with the client. So what does that look like? They closed the property 6 months ago. 6 months ago. And you haven't talked to them. Or you sent them an email. Or you sent them a calendar for the holidays. How good are you there? And it gets worse. 1+ years. So here's the reality. You'll see this in one of the statistics. A lot of sellers and buyers forget the name of the realtor that actually sold them the house that they bought or sold the house that they owned because they didn't stay in touch. So be critical about how you operate with the medium and long term. How good are you there? Now, when I sold real estate, my goal was to connect and communicate with my database 18 to 24 times was what I was targeting. So that it's, we'll call it almost 2 times a month, okay? Now, sometimes it's weighted more for some months because there's more things happening, but that was my goal. Here's the reality that most trainers are now teaching out there. They're saying 30, 36 times. And if you think of the new technology that exists compared to when I was in the business, that's not a high target to try and reach either. That's 3 times now, right? How good are you with the client service experience now, medium and long term, thinking about those things? Is there an opportunity for you to get better? Is there an opportunity for you to fracture old habits over the next 60 and 90 days to fracture them and take another 60 or 90 days to mend them and create new ones? Folks, you're here for 6 months before that happens. From start fracture to mend, okay? Any questions on this? Yeah. Oh. So this leads us to what then is your job? We always call it a career. I'm in the career of real estate, but let's boil it down. We're performing a job. And so this should be in your workbook. Let's see, it's on page 7, top of your workbook. This is your job. The red words are fill in the blanks for you, so you can stay awake and engaged with me. So every day in the business of real estate, you wake up unemployed. Welcome to this magical business we call real estate, okay? The job, therefore, of a realtor is to generate leads. And then I say, consider a mining company. We've talked about gold, right? So what does a mining company need to do to find gold or diamonds? Well, they need to excavate a lot of rock before they hit pay dirt. This analogy is no different than what you're doing to generate leads in the hunter system. In the hunter system. Because remember, you're transactionally based in the hunter system. And as a new realtor, you're going to have to be more hunter-based than farmer-based initially to generate leads right away. Would you agree? Would we all agree with that? Okay. So that means the rock that we're talking about, they're not deadbeats. Okay, they're not people that, we're going to throw the rock and try and skip it in a lake and let it disappear. No, we're just saying that these are people that right now, it's not the right time. So maybe they go on a long-term drip campaign with you. But for right now, the short and medium term need, they're not going to solicit business with you, okay? So this is something to burn into your mind, that don't get frustrated with the people you're talking to. If you're going to set yourself to call 50 people a week. So Chris talks about 5 calls a day. So that's 25, okay? That's 25 calls in a week, okay? Let's say you make 10 calls, that's 50. I'm going to advocate you work up to the 50. Make the 10, not the 5. But let's start with 5 because we're fracturing bad habits if you're not doing that right now. And you're going to give it your 100%. Everybody in the room going to agree that you're going to give this 100%? What does that look like? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is my joke section. So we're gonna give it 100% this week. The first day, we're gonna give it how much? We're gonna give 12. We're only gonna work 12%. And on Tuesday, I've written it down. We're gonna go give it only 23%. On Wednesday, we're like, oh geez, the week's almost over. We're gonna knock that up. We're gonna give it a 40%. We're gonna work 40% hard today. And in the next 2 days, well, that was too hard. So I'm gonna bring her down. And then that was way too hard. I'm gonna bring her down. So you're working 100% in the week. Folks, this is actually not a joke. Part of my research uncovered this. This is actually the habits on a week that most realtors are doing. You're probably sitting and going, holy, I won't say the word, but wow, Mike's phenomenal. He figured that out. You guys are working Wednesday the most. It's the middle of the week. You're like, damn, I didn't do a lot on Monday or Tuesday. I better pick it up. And you actually, the 40%, you're almost doing 2 days worth of work in one day and burning yourself out. So here's the fracture again that I'm talking about. We're going to fracture the habit. Let's spread out the work week. You're going to give 100% every day, but spread out through the course of the week. Not aggregating work in basically 3 days, which is what the vast majority of realtors are doing. I noticed that anecdotally, just as the manager and a broker, but when people come into our office. Do you know that Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are the most attended days in our office? Believe it, it's a fact. Correct? Matt's nodding his head. He's like, Mike's right. We get more questions as brokers, more problems to solve. I call problems challenges, by the way. You guys start out, I got a problem. No, you got a challenge. Psychology, just, change the words, change the emotion. Right? How can we not, or how can we break that and fracture that habit? Wake up on Monday morning with that routine thought. You got to do those things, take a shower, eat, feed yourself, brush your teeth, get clothed. Because we wouldn't appreciate it if you showed up here without clothes on, okay? Just saying. Spread it out. Make Monday the most important day of the week. It's going to set the tone for the rest of it. Is that a new idea? Hopefully. Next, systems. Oh God, I hate systems. This is like going to get a root canal. Sign me up. Oh, I hate it too. I walked in your shoes. I know exactly what you guys are thinking, how you're feeling. You can't fool me. A lot of brokers have never sold like I did. And so maybe you can go in and fool them about, woe is me kind of stories. I'll be very, very blatant and forward with you. In fact, the first thing I'll say is, Gag, you're in my office right now and you're struggling. I don't know what's going on. I can't make anything happen. And well, next time you come in my office, if you do that, you're going to get this question. So, well, Gag, and that's fine. I appreciate that. Can you lay out to me right now? Here's a pen, here's a paper. Tell me what you did last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for work, lead generating, booking appointments, and closing on contracts. Write it down. I want to see what it is. And every realtor that I ask that question to, it's like a deer in headlights. You can't tell me what you did last week. You didn't have a plan. You didn't have a system for it. So as painful and as crappy it is to do something like this, every successful person I've ever met in any industry has a plan and has systems. Just look at McDonald's. It's probably one of the crappiest food you can buy for your health. Would you agree? They have systems in place to drive people into their restaurant. That's marketing systems. You get into their restaurant and they have systems to make French fries the exact same way here in Mississauga as you would experience it in Niagara Falls. Cook that Big Mac You know, I don't like McDonald's, but once in a while we get it because the kids want it. What I've noticed, those patties are getting smaller. Systems, folks. What is it going to do for your business? It's going to create efficiency. Write those words down if you don't got them. Efficiency, consistency, compliance, and differentiation. Compliance, that's from a regulatory standpoint. Yes, there are times where people will make complaints against you to RICO or even, God forbid, file a lawsuit. If you have a system in your business, you're going to insulate yourself from a lot of problems because you can show, this is how I do my business. Here's all of the clients that I've done this for. Why would I have changed the way I do my business for this one person? It's a system. Okay. Next one, sphere of influence, relationship. Again, we go back to this word relationship. I know this part now here is the dentist with me, but that's okay. We'll go through it quick. Create your list. If you have a CRM, create the list, put them in the CRM. Divide the list into appropriate groups, A plus, A, B's, and C's, and D's. This is from old corporate America back in the 80s. Trainers have now picked up on it in real estate. Brian Buffini, in fact, uses this model in his Buffini training. And Brian's a great trainer. I've met him personally. He's fantastic. So where I want you to focus really hardcore on is your A pluses and A's. I said it before, A pluses and A's are those walking, talking billboards for you. Those are the people that if they hear real estate mentioned, they're thinking of referring you to that person. And it's not quantity, it's quality. Remember I said you have 10, they know 3, that's 30 leads. You only had 10 A pluses and A's. That's the math. Math is your savior in this business if you think of it like that, because it'll allay the frustration you get every day. Because not every day are you going to book an appointment. Not every week are you going to book an appointment, but you got to stay at it. You can't give it up. You give it up and you frustrate and you don't wake up out of bed and drive out there that Monday, where only 12% of what you want to do and accomplish is being done, that you don't make Monday and own Monday as the start of the week. Well, you're going to have a database full of these. C's and D's. B's are good people. They're good people. These are people that your job is to move them up to an A, A plus by your service, by the medium and long-term relationship that you're going to build with them. Okay, that's maybe having a client appreciation event with them. Take them to the movies. Take them for like buy out a movie theater on a Monday or Saturday morning. Bring people in to the newest movie. Take them out to a ball game, a hockey game, whatever, right? C's and D's. C's are going to take a lot of activity and a lot of energy. In fact, the amount of energy that they're going to take from you is they're going to siphon some of the energy that you need to devote to those people. I'm not saying do not abandon C's, but C's you're going to have to work on quite a bit. That's where you're going to have to build the trust, that relationship with them. So these are people that you want to have maybe on long-term, they call them drip campaigns, okay? Every CRM has some type of drip campaign embedded into it.
They're called smart campaigns and spheres.
Smart campaigns and spheres, exact. Sphere, by the way, is a monster of a program. I'm not denying that, but it's free, and most of it's free. I highly recommend you invest time to learn that program, to learn that. It's great. And these guys here are D's. And as that friend of mine, Buffini, would always say, you delete those people out of your database. You don't want them. Those are the garbage trucks that we talked about earlier. They're driving around full of garbage and they don't trust realtors. They don't like realtors. We're all the same. Do you really want to be working with somebody like that? Because that person will be like an eclipse and take all the sunshine away from these people that know you, like you, and trust you. Okay? Developing those systems. For me, my business was in hobbies and volunteering. So I was a hockey player, baseball player as a kid. So when I got into real estate, part of the farming side of my business was seeding those relationships in hockey and baseball and in one hockey. I joined the board as a coach, I sponsored teams, did all kinds of things. So that my networking was in hockey arenas, was in baseball diamonds. My lead generation prospecting were in hockey arenas and baseball diamonds. So for me, what scares a lot of people in prospecting and lead generation, I made it fun. Make sense? You guys can do the same thing. No different. Maybe it is hockey, baseball, or cricket, or swimming, or running. Who knows? Or you like sewing, or you like beadwork. I don't know. You figure it out. This is your business. You're the boss, remember? Where do you spend your money? That's a big question you need to answer for yourself. Are you spending your money on these people? Or you're spending your money looking for those people? When you are doing a traditional farm, where you've locked down an area of 1,000 homes or 2,000 or 5,000, you don't know those people. You haven't developed a relationship unless you've gone and knocked the doors consistently over the course of a year or 2 or 3 and built out your reputation. But if you're just going to send flyers, those are the people you're getting. Okay? Not good. Wasting money. Spend the money here. Take them out. Wine and dine them. The movie theater thing. It's amazing what the return you're going to get on that. And oh, by the way, let's say, for instance, and I use the movie theater as an example because I did that myself. I rented out the movie theater right here at Square One. Okay. First couple times it cost me money. But then I learned, well, I have a lawyer that I refer business to and a mortgage broker and a building inspector. Why don't they help defray the cost? By the time it was all finished, it didn't cost me a dime. It was all covered by my team. But I was the lead on that. So you're sitting in an audience crammed full of parents and their kids watching whatever, the new Star Wars movie or the new Pixar movie. Pretty cool stuff. Spend the money there. Because in that room of A pluses and A's, they're going to go back to where they work and say, oh, my realtor took me out this weekend to see the newest movie. Why, your realtor did that? I don't even remember what my realtor's name is. Or I haven't heard from my realtor in like 5 months. Who's your realtor? Did I get calls like that? Absolutely. And I was just cementing the relationship as A pluses and A's. What happened here, Matt?
Oh, just hides itself.
Okay. Any questions on that? I know it's boring. Create and build. We talked about that. Qualify, sort. We talked about that. Communicate. What's your plan for the touch points? We did talk about that. You can do it. You can talk to people 3 times every month. At least once or twice a month, please. Definition of business plan. This is my definition of my thesis. It's a continuous process. And these are the red ones are where you want to fill in the blanks. And what page are we on for that, Matt? Sorry. You're at the bottom of page 9. Continuous process of making deliberate and systematic choices to predict with the greatest certainty the future viability of your business. You can use Harvard's SMART system, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely to do that. Is there time? 45. I love this word in my my definitions, predicting. Plans are meant to predict. They're your roadmap. It tells you whether you're on track or off track. And here's the good thing about your plan. You can modify it, you can change it. But if you don't have one, you're flying by the seat of your pants every day. You don't have to have a complicated 20-page, 50-page plan. Put it on paper for 1 page or 2. Start there. Remember, fracture a bad habit. It's going to take you 60 days to fracture it and 60 days to mend it. But start somewhere. Start executing on ideas. And if it's only one you take away today, great. Make that the number one thing priority you're going to do this week. But put a plan in place. Please, please, please. Next slide. I think this is where the interactive is going to be with Matt a bit or not.
The next one.
The next one.
No, I think it is.
See that? Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay, so what you're seeing here in your book, I think we're on page, we're on page 10 and 11. So this is just a snapshot of how I ran my business. So this is the Colonel Sanders secret recipe for Mike Kennelly. So you don't have to worry. I'm not going back into selling real estate. At least I don't think I am. But if I ever did, now you guys know my secret. Can I go back to the other one? Or are you going to go there?
Want me to go back?
Yeah, just go back to the, yeah. Okay. So again, athlete mind, I need my playbook. Has anybody been an athlete on a team? Coach gives you, right? Coach gives you the playbook. Here's the drills. Here's the breakout pattern for hockey, right? Here's the power play. Here's the penalty kill. It's a playbook. This became my playbook for selling real estate. Again, let's go back. The top three things: generate a lead, book an appointment, and close on a contract. This takes care of the lead side of it. So every week on Monday, instead of like rolling out of bed and like whatever, I'm not really focused, Mondays were my go-to day. And every day I had, or every week, broken down by every day, because you can see Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right to Friday, I broke it down into the lead generating activities that I wanted to focus on and accomplish and execute on, okay? And so you'll see the activities in one column, and there's 2 pages to them. Matt's gonna bring up momentarily the interactive file that we've sent you where you can put these in on your own, set your own stuff. And you'll see in column 2, PTS, this is for points. And in my mind, I assigned a point total for each lead generation activity in a descending order, or it's called ascending order, it should be actually. Meaning that, like for here, it says flyers 0.25%. I don't place a lot of value on a flyer. To me, it doesn't have the relationship part of it. It's just a flyer. Who gets flyers in their post box every day? Do you even look at them? Not likely. They go into the recycling. So it has a very low value content for me. And as they ascend, we go up in value. So a cold call, a complete stranger, we're going to give you 1 point for that. We're going to give you 1 point for a door knock. You knock on a door, even if nobody answers the door, we're still giving you the that a boy, that a girl, you've got a point for 1 door knock, right? Newsletter, business card, internet lead, social media post. Well, that's a 2-pointer. Why? Because the people you have in your social media networks, you theoretically have a relationship with them. If you don't, you may want to go in and scale those that you don't even know who they are. Like, oh, I don't know John Smith. Like, who the heck's that guy? How did he get into my group? Out. So we go in an ascending order. Now, what's the thing? So we're going to say week. What's the week today? Feb. What's this week, Matt? What's the date today?
The 9th today.
And so today was, so whatever this week was. We're going to go. It's me. Okay. And we're going to set a total point goal. These are the goals, right? So Mike maybe this week wants to get 250 points out of this material. Now, just so that you know that when I was running my business, I was in excess of like 2,500 to 3,000 points a week is what I was running. I'm not asking you to do that yet. Again, I'm fracturing an old habit, trying to reestablish a new one with you, and getting your mind going into, okay, let's start the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? Does everyone know how you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Because if you looked at the whole elephant and tried to eat it all at once, you'd be like, I can't do that. So 1 bite, this is the 1 bite at a time. So maybe we start with 250 points and we look at these activities and build out a work plan for the week. That's how I did my business. Whether you want to adopt this or not in yours, it's your choice. I'm just exposing you to how I was able to operate at a fairly high level of success and efficiency by having a plan, a lead generation plan every day. Were there days that Mike woke up and I said, oh God, I don't want to do it? Absolutely. You push through those days. You get through those days. You make those calls, those 5 or 10 calls a day, whatever you choose. You've got to be making those calls. Does everybody understand the overall concept of what we're talking about? here in the room and at home, right? You understand what we're doing? Okay. So now, Matt, I think you can pull up the other slide, right?
You want this one or do you want this one?
The other one. We'll go to that one next. Okay, so Matt's going to do an interactive example for whoever wants to volunteer. Does anybody want to volunteer what they want to do, or somebody at home? Whoever's first. Anybody at home? No? How about in the room? Gagan? Okay, we got Gagan. So put Gagan's name up there. And the start date is today. This is how easy it is. We make this pretty simple. And so now we're going to go and set a target. What's your target? 350.
Spot. Let's put it up here for now.
Okay. So he's gonna try to accomplish 350 points this week in lead generation activities. We're all on the same page so far, right? We're all following. And now in that activity section, Gagan, help Matthew figure out how many points you want to assign to each one of those and break them down to the day.
So how many points do you want for things like flyers, cold calls, door knocking? We'll put the goals in, and then we're going to specify how many we want to do each day.
So I'm splitting that out, right?
Yeah. So how many cold calls do you want to do in a week? They're one point apiece.
Sorry, 20 calls a day.
20 calls a day, 5. So 100 points. 80. And are you working Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
So what, 15 to 20 each day?
Yeah.
So 15. So if we do 15 a day, you've got 94% for your week done. So maybe we'll do 20 on Wednesday to hit your total. And there you go.
So as simple as that, folks, you can come up with a complete plan for your week. Again, I'm not imposing this upon you. I'm not telling you you have to do this. I'm just giving you an opportunity and a roadmap to incorporate something new in your business, trying to fracture you into trying something different. Up to you to do it. And be authentic when you do it, right? So measure yourself honestly with what the goal you set each week is and what you accomplish. So if you've done nothing in a week, be authentic about having done nothing in the week. Because at the end of the day, the only individual you hurt is yourself, nobody else. Listen, I'll be the first cheerleader cheerleading your success. You know, when you walk up on stage at our annual awards thing, and I'll hug you, shake your hand, and be the happiest person next to you for you doing that. But if you don't walk across that stage and that was something you wanted to do because you didn't do the work, I'm going to feel sad for you, you know, because the lost potential and opportunity that you've missed and the game-changing, life-altering things you could do with your life and your family. But ultimately, you're not hurting me or affecting me in any way, except for I feel sorry for you. Okay. Let's not have me feel sorry for you. Anything else with that one, Matt?
Unless you just want to continue with the example, but then if that's just an example of how to use it, then
yeah.
If you want to maybe just cover some of the stuff down near the bottom, because the points go on, the bigger the longer.
Exactly, right? So you can see where my numbers were like around 3,000 a week, because obviously I was doing things like firm deals. I was doing, well, in this thing here, Platinum List Create. That's just if you haven't created a person relationship database yet, create one. And you can have your first week accomplished almost by creating one if you haven't already got one. Okay. Platinum list just means your person relationship list. Probably change that just so that we align it, right? I'm not saying billboard, but if you want to go do a billboard, there's 250 points for you. I never had a billboard. I was always even not happy with my small picture on my business card, let alone having my big picture up on a billboard. So, but if you want to do that, go ahead. Major event, minor event, you can have these types of movie theater buyouts. You got a whole week's worth of things that you're going to do. That's just the event itself. Think of all the points you're going to get and the invitations, the calls, calling their friends to invite their friends if they say have a neighbor wants to come. Like you're gonna rack up thousands of points on a major event. The event itself is just one thing. So it's all about generating connectivity with people, getting effective, being proactive out there and doing things. Make sense? Okay, let's go to that one, honey. All right, this one here. So this Excel file, I received this, probably 22, 23 years ago at an event, at a training event. And I've kept it ever since. I used it myself. It was fantastic. And I've shared it every year with realtors that come, to my courses. And so literally this is an Excel file where you can start to really dig into how you want to generate your business. And so you can put it in this case, we did an income goal of $1 million.
This was left over from the last time.
Left over.
We
So
had
we're going to use Kevin today instead. So Kevin, you're going to role play with Matthew. What's your income goal? So somebody said $1 million. I mean, if you're making 100,000 today, your income goal of $1 million is probably not realistic. Okay. If you're making 100,000, let's have a realistic goal and say you make 200 or 250, because that's doubling and then some your income. All right. So let's put a realistic number in there, Kevin. 250,000. Okay.
And what is the average end of each deal?
15,000, 18,000. Yeah.
There we go.
So we got 20 and that number 20 is how many people you have in your database that are your A pluses and A's. Remember, I was using 10, but in this case, you've got 20. Do you want 20? Do you want 10? Do you want 30? 20 is fine. Now you're going to break down in the categories, what percentage do you want transactions to come from? So in this one here, you can modify. You could say, I want 80% of my business to come from there, but let Kevin do it. Let Kevin figure that out. You tell us, you tell yourself, where do you want to generate your business?
Right now it's set to 40% from your basically your CRM.
Yeah, for my case, it's like 75%.
75. So we've got to modify the rest. This has to equal 100. So what is FSB?
For sale by owners.
For sale by owners? 10%, 0%?
Yeah, I got one in the past.
So one in the past?
So go 5%.
5%?
5%, yeah.
Okay, so that's so 8. So we got 20% more to play with for us. Ads, open houses, websites.
Open house, 5%.
5% open house.
5%.
Website, you said? Flyers, 5%. So try to start zeroing some of this here just to kind of get it. Okay, so we've got 10% more to play with. Open house, 10%.
You got open house is 5.
That was at 5. We only got 15. Well, right now we're at 90%. So we got
10% more to play with. Yeah.
What's your business, 5%?
5%. Miscellaneous 5.
Website.
5%. There's your 100.
Right. So the transactions didn't add up there, Matt. Is there a reason for that? For some reason?
Well, no, we're modifying where the business comes from.
Right.
The total transactions still 17.
Yeah. But it only adds up to 6 there. I guess
Where are you looking?
right here. It should shoot out 17 there.
Transaction.
Yeah.
Relationship. Sure.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7.
For some reason.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So maybe we'll resend that. There must be a
little glitch in there somewhere.
because that should actually tabulate out to there. So if you look at some of the other, so this is adding up properly. That's good. Here you're going to say, in this question here, you're asking yourself, how long does it take you when you meet a seller from start to finish, from the listing appointment to the sale process? How many hours are you investing in that experience? So we just 60 there. You might be 30 hours. You might be 100 hours. So it's going to help, generate the time that you need to spend various activities. And the same thing with a buyer. So 90 hours in this example for working with buyers. Everybody understand that part? So when you go in to modify that, just try and figure out from your past experience the amount of hours you're dedicating from start to finish with a buyer or a seller. Make sense, right?
That's from the time you start the
Correct.
contract, not just signing the form.
No, that's right. No, the actual business experience itself, right? So you've called it, generated the lead where there's an appointment being booked. So you're going from that moment to here's the keys for a buyer, or here's the sold sign on the lawn for the sell. Well, it's actually, there's more involved actually after selling and putting a sold sign on, right? Oh, how many hours you dedicated, okay? And these are the kind of, we'll bring it up there. No, bring it up, yeah. Yeah, so it's telling you the kind of presentations you're gonna need every day, the hours that you're gonna work. In this example, you're gonna have to work about 7 hours a day, okay? So it will kick out the kind of time that you need to generate in a chair, on a phone, out on the street to get that 250 in your scenario, okay? It's a very valuable tool. Matt, the only glitch I see right now is just the
numbers for those.
Did you put that in yourself?
I did myself.
Okay. Everything else is working out, so we're good. If you want to try and figure the glitch out, it's okay. If not, just go with the formula and just know that one there, you just have to manually put it in. Everybody understand this? Do you think it's helpful for you to kind of help with the plan that you're going to develop now? Because the plan is something you need to put in place, right? If you don't have a plan, you don't have a target. It's like me saying, hey, Kevin, here's the keys to my car. Drive from here to Mobile, Alabama, but I'm not going to give you a map. And you can't use Waze or GPS. Can you go find Mobile, Alabama? Most people wouldn't, because they're not going to stop every while and ask for directions. Most people want the directions. Your map, your plan is your map of directions for where you got to go. Okay.
Excuse me, Matthew, do we have access to that?
I emailed the Excel sheet to everyone.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, in the information package that Matthew sent out, this is there, plus the other one we were playing with as well. Okay. Again, I'm not here to tell you to use all this stuff and force you. You guys are independent contractors. Choose to do what you want, but I'm just showing you a bit of a roadmap here that you can work with, right? And at the end of the week, you can say, wow, you might not get a listing signed, you might not get a buyer agency agreement signed, but you can look back and go, oh, I did 700 activity points. I planted hunter seeds, because these are hunter seeds. They're not farmer seeds. These are the proactive activities, right? Hunter seeds. You can look back and go, well, I was productive that week. I wasn't a failure. I did something. I accomplished something. On to the next week, on to the next week. Compounding all these activities, you're going to do business. That's just the beauty of the math. We're back on the right. Okay. 6 C's of selling. This is I think this is a fill in the blank for you. This was out of my thesis as well. We talked all about this stuff, so you can write it down into top of page 13. So it's contact, communicate, convert, contract, cash in, and chart. Those are my 6 C's of selling real estate. And if you miss any fill in the blanks, you can go back to the portal. This will be put up on the portal probably tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Contact. Talked all about this today. Lead generation activities. Communicate. What's your method? Frequency and educate. Well, the method that I was 18 to 24 times, now it's 30 to 36 times. In your communication, you should try to educate them. So, we're going to have announcements coming out. There's going to be another Bank of Canada announcement. Tip Macklin talked this week about where he thinks the rates are going to go. Looks like we're going to have a pause. These are good things. But you want to be on this front in communication, write this down. You want to be the voice, source of real estate information for your relationships. The voice and source of real estate information for your relationships. If you are not the voice and source of information for them, they'll get it from the news. They'll get it from TV, from a newspaper. They'll get it from an unprofessional other realtor, perhaps. They'll get it from a friend at the water cooler at their business. Are these people qualified to be rendering that professional advice? No. You become the voice and source. That means you need to do your research. You need to understand these things. Thankfully, at our company, you get so many opportunities to listen to stuff like that. Signature Live, any one of the management team and leadership team, we're here to help. You want to bounce an idea off us, give us a call. We'll work it through. Because if you're not the voice and source, they're going somewhere else. You don't want that. Contract, we talked about that. Well, actually, let's go back to convert. CETO. Anybody know what CETO stands for? And if you've taken my course, you can't say it, okay? Nobody's heard of CETO? Ceto Gaston? Yeah. He was a real person. He was the, yes?
Amber says, come into the office.
Amber's probably taken somebody's course that has this. Come into the office. It's an acronym. I was not brilliant enough to actually create that one myself. That was from my first trainer in real estate back in '94. Gotta go. Okay. My first trainer, a guy named Floyd Wickman. And Floyd Wickman is the grandfather of all trainers in the real estate sector. You will see in our brokerage, a lot of those that have been 25 plus years in the business have gone through Floyd Wickman's system. Floyd is now retired. I had the pleasure at his very last public speaking engagement to be his guest of honor. Imagine that. His guest of honor, it was like one of those bucket list items I crossed off my list. This was his acronym called come into the office. What does this mean? You're working with a buyer prospect and they want to have you run out and start showing properties right away without having the qualifications done. No, you stop. You have dialogues to convince them or to influence them or persuade them to come into the office. You want to do that for a couple of big reasons. One, first and foremost, doesn't get talked about a lot, your own personal safety and security. If you don't know the person, what the heck are you running out to go show them a property for? Bring them in, get to know them, identify them, get your FinTrack stuff in place if you're going to work with them. Get all that stuff done right then and there at the come into the office stage. Plus, you're also going to qualify them, right? Do they have the capacity, capability to buy real estate? What do they want to buy in real estate? Do they want to buy a type of property that maybe I'm not an expert in or qualified in? Maybe it's a cottage type property. Have you sold a cottage before? Maybe it's a farm. Have you sold a farm before? Good to know those things, then you can maybe outsource them to a professional in the office that can handle it. But CETO should be the mindset whenever you're dealing with a buyer, get them to come into the office. Make sense? Contract, we talked about cash in. Well, that's your fee that you're going to earn. And then chart, follow up. That's your mid to long term, right? You're going to keep in touch with these people. Remember we talked about you're great in the short term, but the medium and long term, you guys collectively as an industry are dropping the ball on that, okay? Start to build your business. Just another screen where we talk about plan, work, and stay motivated. Stay motivated. Avoid this. Anybody ever heard of this term before? Pity parties? Well, if you haven't, there's another fracture for you to learn about pity parties. So people, again, we can be garbage trucks like I talked about, carrying garbage around, but we also have the pity thing in our gene where if something bad happens, we like to go around and go, woe is me, right? Oh my God, I can't believe the buyer maybe showed them 30 properties and now they don't want to buy. Well, maybe the guy's hours got cut back at his workplace. And so he's changing his decision, not because he doesn't like you or he wants to create a pity situation for you and make you upset. But we take that and go have a party with that sometimes. And we like to bring on other people to share in that pity party scenario. So be motivated. Watch and listen, not to this, but the positive messages. YouTube's phenomenal. Type in YouTube as a search. Positive stories, uplifting stories. The amount of stuff you're going to see, the courage of what some people have done and accomplished and succeeded for will turn whatever pity party you may think you have into a positive situation. avoid them like the plague. Next one. This is just a generic lead generation form. So if you've not done this, I'm fracturing you again into trying new things. If you don't have lists of questions you can be asking for a lead, here's a whole bunch of them. Print it out, make a photocopy, have this right beside your phone when you're dealing with a lead. I'd encourage you to memorize them so that you have a laundry list of questions you can be asking at any given time. Here's the other painful dentist appointment stuff. This is budgeting. Who likes to do budgets? I got one page of this. All right, so we got a couple of things. These are basically personal. I'm breaking expenses up into three things. Okay, we got personal, and we're gonna go. Well, I don't got my other stuff. I'm gonna go here. This is business. The main book you have more, right? Yes, you have more. I think. You do, yeah. And marketing. So these are the three things. You got personal, marketing, business, and marketing. The first two are pretty much baked in stone for all of us. Okay, so those are not things that you're going to choose to do or not to do, right? Whereas these ones here are choice. They're optional. Marketing expenses. It's good to know what your operational budget is personally, professionally, and in the marketing sense. Do you have enough at the end of the month to cover the expenses that you're going to incur to run your personal life and your professional life? So these are difficult things to do for a lot of people because a lot of people enjoy not knowing. It's kind of like the ostrich scenario. Better that I don't know that every month I have to have $3,000 in embedded expenses or $4,000. People like to not confront the reality, but I'm telling you that the more you confront your financial situation, the less stress and burden you're going to carry every day. Unburden that part of your life. All right, I owe $5,000 a month every month in fixed costs. Okay, fixed costs, not variable costs. I better go out and sell enough real estate to get double that or triple that. I better be bringing in $10,000 or $15,000 if my expenses are $5,000. Okay, that are not variable. Good to know those things because it relieves the anxiety of the unknown. So we choose to put these things in the unknown. Well, if I don't know about it, then I can't bother me until the bills show up and then panic, right? So exercise, again, you guys go and do it if you want. Just advocating and sharing with you my system. And I think it's our last part of the session, right?
4 slides after this one and 3 more.
1, 2.
These last 2 are your swap words,
Okay.
and then you've got your finishing slides.
Got it. Okay, so these are some of the words that we're used to hearing, and we call them fear words. This comes from Tom Hopkins back in the early mid-90s as a discourse. And so the word commission, we use that all the time. Well, there's a new word. You use the word, you just don't even know you use the word because consumers don't like the word commission. It triggers them, right? It's a triggering, emotionally anxious word. Oh, I got to pay commission. Throw out the word that this should be. Some of you already know. Fee. So we're going to put the word fee there. Next one. This is going to cost you $1.3 million to buy this house. The price of this house is $1.3 million. What's a better word we can use to describe the same thing?
Value. The value.
The value? Investment. Investment. The investment of this property is $1.3 million. To buy this $1.3 million house, you're going to have to put a $50,000 down payment on it. What's a better word we can use instead of down payment? Deposit. That's a word we could use. That's right on the contract, the APS. What's another word?
Front.
front.
upfront.
Yeah. How about we use the word, your initial investment? Psychologically, we all like to invest in things because investing in things usually produces a profit, a dividend, right? Something like that. So we've gone from fee investment, initial investment. What are we going to call monthly payment? Let's go back on the theme. Again, we're using investment, your monthly investment. Your monthly investment is going to be $3,000. Contract. You guys sign this contract with me today, Gaggett, because if you don't, you're in trouble. What's the different word for contract that we could use?
Agreement.
Agreement. Sure. How about another one? You know what it is, man?
I got the list here. I'm cheating.
Show it. Start with P.
Paperwork.
I got these memorized pretty much. Paperwork. Buy. Kevin, you gotta buy this house right now. The new word starts with an O. And it's, huh? Oh, exactly. Who doesn't like to own things? You take possession of it. It's yours. Ownership. Home ownership. So you're gonna own, not buy. Sell or sold. It's two words. First word starts with a G. Second word starts with an I. I'm going to sell you this house. You're going to get sold on this property. So the first starts with a G, and the next one is there. We're going to get, actually, it's three words, right?
Yeah.
You. I'm going to get you involved. Involved in this. We're going to get you involved in this wonderful investment opportunity. Your monthly investment is only $3,000, and your initial investment is only $50,000. See how you can change a conversation, the psychology dynamics of that. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do for your own homework, and this is on you, is to create a 30-second, 60-second elevator pitch using these new words in what you do. Who's ever been asked by somebody that says, hey, Mike, what do you do for a living? Are you ready to answer that question in 30 seconds or 60 seconds instead of going, yeah, I sell real estate? You're a commodity when you do that again. You just became a commodity. You can build out using these words in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, an amazing elevator pitch to what you do. Completely differentiate yourself from everybody else. Deal. This starts with an O, am I right?
Technically, there's two words.
Okay, so the O is the second
O
word.
is the second word.
All right, so we'll go with, I know what the first word is now. A deal. Everybody wants a deal. This sounds so dirty to me, a deal. Kevin, I'll buy a house with you if you only find me a deal. I'm telling Kevin, I'm telling every one of you right now, that if you as a realtor are out in the marketplace and you find that deal, buy it yourself. Buy it yourself. It's that good of a deal. Okay?
So opportunity is no.
Correct. Wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity. These words were all developed by psychologists back in the 90s. Changes the complete tenor to the conversation. Do you agree?
Roxanne suggests good value. Suitable replacement.
And that's fine too. Okay. Next page. Sign. This one's got like 3 of them, right?
Yeah, 3 different examples, yeah.
Add?
Like advertisement?
No, so sign, like signing
Oh,
your name.
sign,
Like,
sorry.
I gotta sign my name, right?
Sign, oh, sign.
I need you to sign on the dotted line. Autograph. You guys love it. This is the one I used to use because I was in the hockey and baseball world. Everybody knows what an autograph is. Hey, man, I need you to autograph the paperwork.
Yeah, Valentina says seal the deal.
Oh, I've never heard that one. And I'm going to add that one. That's going to be an added one. Okay.
Okay.
Seal. How do you spell seal in that? Oh, that right? Okay. Seal the deal. Seal the wonderful opportunity.
Two of them said make it official.
Make it official. That's not one of mine, but I like that. Make it official. Okay. Simple one is okay it. What's the last one, Maddie?
Approval.
Approve. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 of them now. 5 ways to get them to put their autograph, their signing on a document. Because people are afraid to sign. Because once they've signed, that's a kind of final action, right? Pitch. What's a new word for pitch? Offer? No. Present. Presentation. Right? Oh, you've heard me already say this one. Problem. How do I?
Challenge.
We're at it. It's never a problem. It's always a challenge. Nobody wants problems. I don't want your problems. You don't want my problems. So they're challenges. Objections.
Concerns.
Oh my God, she's stealing it. So that's the last word. Concern. There's first word. Area of concern. Right? See, at 52, my memory's still pretty good. Okay. Cheaper. Mike, go find me the cheapest property out in the marketplace. Or I picked the Mississauga Real Estate Board to access Itsos because it's the cheapest one out there.
Best value for money.
Those are good. Good value. Here's the better word. Economical. So for instance, the Mississauga Real Estate Board is the most economical choice for those choosing to belong to a board that has Itsos access. Why? Because we have more services, we have life insurance, and our membership for our board of directors is focused on our membership. That's my elevator pitch for the Mississauga Real Estate Board. We are the cheapest, but we don't call it. We're the most economical. Customer is really what you want to do is make your client. Okay. Customer, you owe no fiduciary duties to. A client, you do. A client is what you want to drive them to. A looker, this one starts with an R. Every single one of you in the room and every single one of you at home is a looker of something, whether you're going to book a vacation, buy a car, buy a new computer, get a TV, get some clothes. Every one of you are lookers, but that has a derogatory connotation to it. How can we change that?
Research.
Research. Next time you're dealing with a buyer that is the looker, frame it in your mind that all they're doing is research, no different than what you're doing for any aspect of your life. prospect.
Potential.
Megan's been in my class. Future client. And the last one, Matt, you want to serve it up?
We have two. Visit or pop by.
Is it? Or as I said, we've got 17 new conversions of words that in our business, those words are trigger words. They elicit a negative response. You shift them around using the new words, you're going to have better outcomes. I promise you that. But now try and create a 30-second speech using these words. And for those of you that are going to take that initiative, that challenge that I'm going to give you right now, next week we'll ask to see if people have done it. We'll see how busy you were this week. In a week's time, would you like to share your 30 seconds? Every time I do this class, there are people that write that out and they hit grand slams in success for what they've done. And some of them, actually, our #1 realtor in our brokerage in the West office took my class 5 years ago, and now he's chairman's club. He always says that 30-second little speech, he used that stuff, was huge for him. Can't tell you to do it, suggest you do it. There's a lot of value. Okay, we got 2 more, right? Just missed the button. Oh, I just missed the button. I promised you I'd give you some dialogues as well, so that you can start implementing things right away, okay? These are types of questions that you can be using in critical situations while you're out in the marketplace. A minor point is just, if you're having a problem dialoguing with somebody or communicating with somebody, use a minor point to shift the conversation somewhere else. And this is just an example of a small one, where you're getting bogged down in something. Oh yeah, I just want to make sure, was your house again on the east side or the west side? So let's say we were having a conversation about something that was going off the rails or going in a different direction. I can just get in there and kind of disrupt cognitively what's happening by shifting with something like that. This requires a lot of practice on your part to do that, okay? Because you need to understand, you know, what the actual environment's like in that conversation, because sometimes it may be way inappropriate to try and do this minor point shift if you're talking about something, you know, very dire kind of thing, right? Number 2.
Sorry, I'm not sure I understood that part.
Well, let's say that Gagan's just deep in the weeds about the green room or greenhouse that he's built in his backyard. And to him, it's worth $50,000, that greenhouse. And because it's in his mind worth $50,000, he doesn't want to leave that. Then I'm going to use a minor point shift around to say, to get him off of that topic, right? So that's the purpose of using a minor shift and point of view. Okay, if he's sitting deep in the weeds in something that's really immaterial in the grand scheme of things, and actually material if he has this association that is greenhouse. I'm just throwing greenhouse out because it's up in my mind. That in his mind that's going to be an obstacle or a challenge to you selling the house. So if Gagan's got that in his mind. So I'm going to try and disrupt his thinking with something else. I'm going to come back to it. So I'm not going to ignore it, but I'm going to disrupt his thinking. And this one here does not apply for that. You use another type of dialogue for that. To say, well, okay, that's great. Have you ever thought of other features of your house that bring value to your house that are amazing, like the renovated kitchen you guys just did? Now I'm getting over, oh yeah, right, as opposed to this. Then I can come back and go, well, you know, in my experience, guy, not everybody really is interested in the greenhouse. I love it. Like, I think this was a value add, but did you know that most people probably don't see that as a feature or benefit? Right? Alternative choice. Love this. In fact, These two are my absolute two favorites. In fact, I need to change my slide. Sharp angle's got to go first, alternate choice has got to go second. And this is in booking an appointment, okay? So it goes like this. I'm trying to get into list Matthew's house. Matthew, if I could, and you see here it's ... You fill in the blanks. You can do this for so many things. You can mess with your kids if you want to with this dialogue, okay? This is awesome stuff. This is the art of persuasion times 10. Matthew, if I could show you how I could sell your house for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, would you be interested in meeting with me? It's a dialogue I use every day, dozens of times every day to try and book appointments. And so let's go over that one more time. Matthew, if I could show you how I could sell your house for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, would you be interested? Sure. So he just said, sure. That question is designed to elicit a positive response. Would you agree? Because if you said no to that question and you're a bona fide seller of your home, you've got to question maybe the psychological whatever of mass, okay? Because the normal person is going to say, yes, sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You've got a yes. In psychology, you want yeses. In sales, you want yeses. So then it's great. Now you follow up with the alternative choice. Great, Matthew. When would be a good time to meet? Would tomorrow at 3 or 7 o'clock work better? So I'm doing 2 closing dialogue techniques in one. Folks, if this can't get you appointments, you're not executing properly on it. And I do, if you've seen this for the first time, practice it before you try it, okay? Find a buddy, partner, use your own phone, speak to the recording device, or leave a message on your phone with this dialogue. Practice it before you try it. I am guaranteeing you that 90 to 95% of all of your attempts to book an appointment using these 2 combinations for a bona fide seller, you're going to lock down an appointment. Now, you're going to probably sit there, you're maybe thinking, oh, Mike, that's great, but maybe I'm going to not say 3 o'clock or 7 o'clock is a good time because, Mike, I got to check with my wife before I do that. Fantastic. Matthew, that's great. I check with my wife before I do anything as well. Let me pencil you in for the 7 o'clock. And if you need to change, please call me. See what I did there? I booked an appointment, even when they've come back with an objection. And I've used very clear language. No problem, Matthew. I'm acknowledging. I have to check with my wife too. I'm now reciprocating with him, saying I have the same challenge. Let me pencil you in. And what can you do with a pencil? You can erase it. So it's not in pen, it's in pencil. Let me pencil you in for the 7. If you need to change it, give me a call. But you secured an appointment. Who in the room or at home thinks they could use this and this would be a valuable tool in booking the appointment? Remember, there's 3 most important things here, right? The lead, book the appointment. The booking the appointment, I find, is probably the toughest aspect of the top 10 list possible. I think I hope I've helped make that part a lot easier for you, okay? Then there's some others, tie downs. If we could agree upon a price, would you let me handle your sale? Expanders, so tell me more, expand on this. Another one I like is, it's not there, but you may be right. Like if they throw some big objection to your way, yeah, you may be right. So you're acknowledging them, but you're not accepting them. You just may be right. Rapport builders. Oh, what's your dog's name? What year's their Mustang car? You figure those things out. When they put up a barrier, say no problem. Love this one. If they ask, hey, should I leave the drapes? Should I leave the light fixture? Should I leave the appliances? I would. Do you really want to be taking all that stuff out of the house and having to worry about moving all that? So you just say, I would. Don't disagree. I would. Sure. Easy, easy peasy. When they hesitate, let's pretend. This is a dialogue where you're going to share with them a real life story that you may have encountered yourself or somebody in our brokerage has shared with you. Well, let's pretend if we took this strategy. This is what's happened to others that have done that. And you can share with them a negative experience. Bonus, if they haven't enjoyed, fair enough. Again, I'm acknowledging you haven't enjoyed. Fair enough, Matt. I understand where, the house is worth 900,000, but I'm sitting here telling you that the marketing strategy to list your house, let's go in at 700,000. Fair enough. I understand you're worried about that. I get that. But here's why we're going to do it. Fair enough. Is that a yes then? Does that make sense? Would you agree? These are awesome, awesome expander type questions and closing type questions. You may have realized now that I use those things quite often when I teach. When I said to you, does that make sense? You all acknowledged that it does. You just bought into my whole psychology of teaching. I think that's my last.
The last slide, yeah.
This is my last one. So we've spent 2.5 hours together. I think they do slot me 3 or 2.
Technically 1.5.
Oh, so I'm way up. So for those of you that have stuck with me at the home audience and here in the room, thank you very much. This is the first of our 5. I hope I fractured some of your bad habits and thoughts, and that we can start to now the process of really fracturing and breaking these things down over the next 30, 60 days. So you can rebuild new ones, which are going to take you another 36, 60 days to do that. I've done this course hundreds of times with thousands of people. If you avail yourself of some of these ideas, you can transform your business. If you don't, that's fine, your choice. Remember, you're your own boss. But if you don't, you may want to consider firing yourself as your own boss and hiring somebody else. I'm joking. That's another joke. I'm sarcastic sometimes. Listen, I want to be the guy that shakes your hand on the stage if that's what you want. If you want to walk on the stage with an award, I want to be the guy that's there to greet you with a big smile. And I've done it with hundreds and hundreds of our realtors that have started out exactly where each and every one of you are, with a dream to go higher, and we've helped them do that. And so for me, that is the satisfaction that I get the most out of, truly. If you ever watch me when we're doing awards up on the stage, the smiles on my face are genuine. Like I'm so happy for you guys because I know it's changed your life and your family's life big time. So thank you very much for coming out. Next week we're on Friday. Yeah, so next week we're on Friday. Yeah, they've got me going like a Thursday, Friday. Okay. Yeah. So we'll make sure that after every session, we'll let you know when the next one is. So have fun with this material. Play around with some of the Excel files we've sent to you. If you're really courageous, which I think you all will be, try it. Give it a shot. Don't try it for a week though, folks. Try it for the 5 weeks at least that we're together with the activity plan, the proactive plan. So I hope to see everybody here next week. If you don't show up next week, Matthew is going to call you, and he's really going to be angry because he takes it personally if you drop out after the first course. He gets really offended. And his office is next door to mine, and trust me, I don't want to have to deal with him. His problems. All right?
My garbage truck.
His garbage truck, okay? Yes,
So
sir.
we're meeting Thursday and Friday, but the
Time's the same.
I think so, yeah.
Time's the same.
Time's the same. Matt is very great in sending reminders, so he'll be sending you reminders for next week. So thank you very much, everybody. Tomorrow is Friday, the weekend. Get to work, execute on these ideas, and trust me, you will change your life. It's going to take time, but it will change your life. Thanks, everybody. Okay.